That's kind of cool.
Good morning and afternoon to all of you that are here on this platform today. And we're going to do a live album review here on the Accountable Masculinity platform with my brother D Walk and my lovely co-host Ashley Marie with Accountable Femininity. And I am Victor Vincian, your host, Mr. Accountable Masculinity. So D Walk has been on this platform sharing um, his experiences and everything that he's been focused on in the creative space. Been doing some interviews, been all real around. We tried to get to this last night, but it was just the conversation was going so well, it was so impactful that we had to set aside another place and time
Yeah.
to really dig into this, uh, and now we got the space to do it. So
Yes, sir.
we want to go through this from and talk about it and talk about your inspirations. We want to talk about, what I'm saying, what led to what we got going on. So without further ado, we're gonna go ahead and get started and play all. Let me get this screen up so everybody knows what to go look for. And it is called Bible. Be inspired before leaving Earth. Let's begin.
If you don't want to open your third eye, then don't watch this video. This method isn't for everyone.
That applies.
Does
Yeah, let me. We just got to the next stop, so I'm gonna get off this train. Let's go in for it. All right, hit you back later. Who will come with me? Nightly and every day, I remember I have the grace to move the future forward, the future for us. Whether you think we are on the right track or not, we are on the right train for sure. So come aboard. Gracious to the ancestors who worked before us, as we harvest what they labored for us. Whether few or plenty, the choice is yours. Will you come with me? You see, the land is promised and the dream is free, but to develop that, well, that comes with a fee. So let's build everything for us, by us. That's the only way we'll see. Your intention right now is giving everything it's supposed to give. No crabs in a barrel, because that's not a place we ever lived. Now is the time, now is the moment. Now in this place I give my own atonement. Black is excellent, black is opulent, black is beautiful, black is strong, black is unique, black is powerful, black is you, black is me, black is us, black as we could ever be. Make your beliefs be life today, because anything less would be a lie to me. So I ask, will you come with me? 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 Will you come with me?
I love that. Wow. First off, I want to say the album cover, I just got it. So it's like the words of the title is in that, like a crossword puzzle. I only saw the IMD walk, obviously, because it's like, yeah, anyway, I don't want to rant, but that.
No, please rant.
It's genius. That's the only word I guess I could, I can describe that.
Yeah, thank you. So even the artwork is part of what I designed, created the entire concept, using the the word search is in essence, a code. And even when I do some of the poetry workshops or speaking or lectures, I also often I use this and I share it and have it. One is that you can find the words. The other thing is that there's inspiration looking at you even when you don't see it. And just the concept and the methodology of being inspired is to look for inspiration. Uh, my grandmother would say, if you pick your nose, you'll find a booger. Uh, so if you look for dirt, you'll find it. If you look for something, you'll find it. And inspiration is something that my hope is that we have a chance to experience, to discover, and to share. So to be inspired is to be inspiring and to identify what that inspiration is overall. Also, for me, letters, even a graphic designer, visual designer, letters were shapes for me first.
Really?
So the letter A was a triangle. The letter V was a triangle. Just depending on what was before it and what was after it determined how it sounded. Being able to see duality of multiplicity in one moment is also part of the nature of who I am and what exists. Just because I don't see it doesn't mean someone else doesn't see that. That just because there's something that might exist that I don't see that someone else may recognize. And that's the idea of having perspective. That's also the basis of like quantum physics, which I've studied and goes all into that metaphysics and all those kind of things
I love
as well.
it.
Yeah,
That's
and
my
and the final thing too, I get excited about this is like I was helping my nephew understand what reading was like, and learning how to read, and just even for me having the ability to read and how I read is a word search is the same thing that happens when you're looking at a paragraph. You identify and look for the words and the letters and the shape that you're familiar with, and then build context around that. That's the way to read. And so this is also a tool for teaching how to read, teaching literacy, and understanding that this exists as code.
Wow. Can I also bring in, because last night after hours when we were all talking after the show, you had mentioned that you were a part of an initiative where you created a curriculum. And it sounds like, you just genius mindset. Your background in terms of like how to break down words and understanding and then building a curriculum and then your artistry, just like everything feels really tied in together and like really intentional and purposeful. Did you want to tell us a little bit about like the initiative that you're pushing forward in that capacity as well?
For sure. Workforce development is something that is key to everything. The ability to work, being developed to work, is what creates an opportunity for you to take care of yourself, take care of your family, and your responsibilities. I
Mhm.
also recognize that early on, working was a skill is an art, and an art is a skill. Growing up, I was able to play drums. I also experienced the moment where my age became a determinant in how much I got paid. And so, in playing drums at the church, because I was in high school and the Miss Page was the lead organist, she got paid a certain amount, and I only got paid not only, but I got paid $75. Now in the '90s, that was decent money.
Yeah.
And by the time I got into a year and they wanted to put me under contract, I realized that I was a worker and I wanted $125. They didn't want to give that to me, or they felt like, well, you're just a student, you're just a kid. So the idea of workforce is not based on age; it's really based on skill set, ability, and timing and opportunity.
Yeah.
Yes, I am a high school student and I play drums professionally. I should be compensated. So what I've been able to do with this album and the next two albums that just came out, I was partnered with Boston Arts Academy, and that gave and created a chance for people who are students in one space to be peers in another. So to create an album together with them, to have their perspective included, and for it to be recognized by the Grammys puts us at an industry level that those students won't ever forget. And we'll always be connected through that opportunity of how we created something and developed something together.
That is beautiful. I'm speechless because again, your relatability is just so like not humbling, but it has a lot of humility there. It's like what it was like being a high school student, being a genius in what your craft was, and like allowing other people to have the the stance and accolades of and they're in high school too, or whatever grade they're in. I think that's commendable. So thank you for sharing that. That's amazing.
For sure.
Let's go move on.
Great content needs a great audience, like Santa Claus needs cookies. What? No cookies for Santa?
The commercials are hilarious.
D-Walk. Let's go. I need a finger snap on the 2 and the 4 for the 214. I need a finger snap on the 2 and the 4 for the 214. The deeper the root, the sweeter the fruit. Nobody in this world goes deeper than you. The deeper the root, the sweeter the fruit. Nobody in this world goes deeper, deeper. The deeper the root, the sweeter the fruit. Past, present, future, nothing's deeper than you. This moment is deeper than truth. Black souls on black soil, black songs from black folks down deep on Elm. We the people of a freedman's town, with the southern drawl is where B.I.B.L.E was found. Only black intellect, only Texas' first black architect could erect a monument that even his in-laws would not forget. I'm talking about the namesake of the black school in Dallas, Booker T. Washington. William Sidney Pippin designed this building just up the street. Black history, black present, black future, and even black presence. The gift that continues to give what it's always gave. There's nothing deeper than Elm, just like there's nothing deeper than you. The deeper the root, the sweeter the fruit. The sweeter, the sweeter, deeper than you. The deeper the root, the sweeter the fruit. Nobody in this world goes deeper, deeper. The deeper the root, the sweeter the fruit. Nobody in this world goes deeper than you. The deeper the root, the sweeter the fruit. Nobody in this world goes deeper, deeper. I need a finger snap on the 2 and the 4 for the 214. I need a finger snap on the 2 and the 4 for the 214. Nah. I need a finger snap on the 2 and the 4 for the 214. Nah. I need a finger snap on the 2 and the 4 for the 214. Nah.
Deeper than that.
Appreciate that.
Oh, hold up, man. I'm slipping on the applause. You know what I'm saying? I'm over here trying to get ready for the next clip and stuff, and forgetting to give. And we trying to give flowers to the people that planted the seeds, bro. You know what I'm saying?
Hey, listen, I appreciate it. You know what I'm saying? This is the fruit. And every time there's fruit, there's some more seeds. So I appreciate the opportunity and the applause and the flowers and all that, man. This is cool.
What was your inspiration behind this?
With what, the album or this particular
This
record?
song?
The Deeper the Root is, so it started as I was moderating a panel for an event that was happening, and just a celebration and recognition of was a black neighborhood in Dallas named B.I.B.L.E. B.I.B.L.E is also known for a lot of the music, musicians, just the culture and art. And it was actually a black freedman neighborhood, part of Dallas. So as history has continued, it was a 150-year celebration. I was moderating a panel where we talked about B.I.B.L.E past, present, and future. And part of me moderating that was, I thought in my mind, like, let's write a poem. And I asked for permission. At first I was asking for permission, and I said, you know, let me just write it and do it at the actual event. And I wrote it, did it, and read it there, along with a very historical conversation about Dallas, B.I.B.L.E. For those who may not have known, Dallas was the location for the first, America's first Black Chamber of Commerce, 1926. That was 6 years after the Tulsa riots. So if you know anything about migration patterns, the Tulsa riots, which was Black Wall Street, and just the culmination of Black wealth, they migrated to Dallas as the next place to be, Dallas Fort Worth technically. because that's where business was happening. That's where trade was happening. You got the Fort Worth and the stockyards. Um, so now modern day is going from Wall Street in New York to Y'all Street in Dallas and Texas. So understanding business and commerce, and also just as an ode to us as individuals, like the deeper the root, the sweeter the fruit. Nobody in this world goes deeper than you. Like just the phrasing of that in the poem was one and as an ode to B.I.B.L.E, but also just to recognize that this neighborhood was also encompassed by individuals, and there's nothing deeper than Elm, like the street, because there's nothing deeper than you. So it's a very historically accurate song. The other part about it is Elm Street is very famous in Dallas because it's also where America's president was assassinated. It's the street. Um, so to kind of connect the history of Dallas with that is something that I have as part of a program called Art and Artifacts, or Art as Facts. Is a way that we can have something that's entertaining, something that's fun, something that's memorable, and we can be able to share history with a certain level of accuracy, even if it's being changed in other spaces.
You got Ashley over there taking notes.
No, literally, I'm like artifacts, art as facts. Okay, I don't even got it. It's in my head already. Like that's tough.
We got a quick question that I wanted to field from the chat. It said, did you post that through United Masters? I think that's what they want to know.
Yeah, good question. I think United Masters is a wonderful platform. For me, with this album in particular, the last couple, I have a partnership with Anderson Music Group and Empire Records. So much of the administrative part of sharing this album and distribution happened through those partners. United Masters is definitely a good option, a viable option. And from this situation, it made sense to do really to do this with my friends. Like that's the main thing. Everything I've done and been doing is literally me involving and including my friends, and them invited me to be a part of it. So I've had that deal since 2000, 2023. So yeah, I didn't I didn't do.
Oh,
You probably got a phone call or something coming in. Yeah. You back?
Gotcha. Yeah, I'm here. Yeah, so I did that deal. I hadn't done anything through United Masters. It's all through Anderson Music Group and Empire Records.
Mm-hmm.
and I also was going to ask you, that brought me into like, how do you pick and choose who you partner with? Because the previous song before the Brown Bag we were going to play, it was featuring someone else. So is that one of your friends, or is it somebody that you just met and you wanted to collab? How do you choose to like collaborate on your music and your art?
Oh, great question. So the collaboration for these features, or these kind of, I don't say features, but just these individuals on these records, is through my production partner. And we just kind of identified, one of the things that this is it's a poetry album, spoken word, but also it's, if you take poetry and put it to music, it becomes a song. So
Yeah.
even the idea of the deeper the root, the sweeter the fruit, the deeper the root, the sweeter the fruit, having that additional kind of voice just lifts it up to be a little more song music ready, because
Yeah.
I do believe that creating something that's memorable but also fun, and having additional voices alongside an auditory benefit. Dana is actually she's a fantastic singer, writer, performer, and just music enthusiast. So having her be a part of this, and even Jade and some of the other people, we are friends. We're connected. I only do business with people I like, people I am familiar with, and people I know. If I can't ask you about how your grandparents doing or your kids doing, I don't really want to engage with you. So this is just a representation of the same idea.
I love that, because for me as well, it has to feel like family. Even like if it is a job that I have, just it's not something that's my art. I still have to feel like we're a family in some way. And you know what? Also, it sounds like, because you had talked about how you were a drummer in your church at a very young age. How has like growing up and being in the church choir and stuff like that, it sounds like it's like the foundation of like your soul and like just the Black, American experience. You know what I mean? Like, how has that impacted your art?
Yeah, I mean, it's impacted every aspect of art, life, business as well. I mean, I talked about signing a contract as a high school, as a teenager, right? There's business in the church. There's art in the church. There's expression within the church.
Yeah.
Being able to experience that is one of the freest places to be, the Black church, and you know, for all of the best reasons, and also some of the most challenging reasons. It's still an opportunity where I could gather with people who had an understanding and a consideration for me and of me in ways that I may not have imagined, and some of it didn't imagine until many, many years later. Art was a significant part of my church experience, along with social justice. My pastor, just one of the most memorable pastors, Reverend Charles Stovall, he was part of SCLC, the Southern Leadership Coalition, SCLC, I can't remember, Southern Leadership Coalition, which was about civil rights and social justice. He was also a jazz musician, right? So having the mix of the preacher being able to play a song on the piano, jazz it up at church, then go and preach and have that all be connected was really an experiential. I call it Broadway. I think church on Sunday is Broadway, is America's Black Broadway. Even to the point, we did church plays. Even some very well-known people. Young lady, Miss Jerica Hinton, she's an actress. She played in a few episodes of, I mean, a few things. Most memorably is Grey's Anatomy. Jonathan Majors. We went to the same church. So when we talk about art, when we talk about influence, we talk about Blackness, and even social justice, and just a Blackness and awareness of Blackness. It existed in church, and that was the best place I could learn about it.
Oh, I love that. And I love the positive outlook because, you know, nowadays everybody want to shame church and, you know, the impact that it's had. But this is a beautiful experience to hear about. All right. I think we're ready for the next one. Thank you.
Let's go.
Yes, you walk, you in your bag, bro. Yeah, son. Deep in the bag. You in your bag.
Five fingers of death.
You in the bottom, down the street, money. The brown paper bag has divided America more than the Mississippi ever did. So let me get you straight. Like a bag made from trees became the standard for who received degrees. Only to have degrees become the way of separation. Oh, don't think I forgot about that currency, paper. You see, money ain't been as evil as you've been to people. The way you treat someone over color skin is downright sinister. When you think about your experience with some of these degreed people of calling and how they administer love, you are tithing with your life. The whole while you are falling, sinking deeper into the traps of pleasure, while you measure whose money is longer. The lie of separation gets stronger and stronger and stronger and stronger.
I mean, you talking about long money, so I need Chanel, Fendi, Marc Jacobs, Prada, Louis Vuitton. I need that. Come on now, Balenciaga. I need to look good. Where the money at?
Certain circles systemically and socially advance as the beneficiaries of abuse and oppression of the people who are originally from this land. On this rock I stand, the foundation of a nation who stood tall. No matter the weather, we maneuvered through it all. Whether it was our fault or not is our responsibility. Listen, hey, who gonna stop what? I mean, really, who gonna stop who? Whatever. Because if we're really honest, we, me, and you, we got that thing that makes our lives better. That's love. That's love. Look at here. That's love.
What do you mean love? Love don't pay bills. I know that. They gonna pick me up in a Maserati and take me to a 5-star. No, I don't know about all this love stuff. What is he talking about?
Your black excellence can never be compared to white success. Because when you were God created, your contribution to the world could never be less. Black intelligence is the key that unlocks a new thought. The truest ideas of opulence can never be bought. When I say do more, do less. And please, for the love of God, stop thinking that a new bill is a reason to say that you're blessed. Highly favored, yes. You couldn't tell me. You couldn't tell me nothing when I bought that new Benz. But truth be told, I was still seen as just a brother because of the color of my skin. Even in the Benz. Again.
I guess. I mean, I know what I want and I know what I like. But you cool with whatever. Brother, I'm still close to 9, so you can take me there.
The elites are laughing at us.
Wow.
Dope work.
Was the quote, "Your black excellence can never be compared to white success"? Was it that?
Yeah, that's what I said.
So, so this is an issue a lot of us have in terms of our excellence. And it seems like you come from a really firm foundation as to who you are and identity. Where I think we lack in the Black community is like, what is our identity, right? Some of us, I mean, we don't have like necessarily a flag, like a nation or a nationality and things like that. What would you say to the person that is struggling with comparing their success to white success and not seeing their Black excellence?
For sure. We Wow. The ability to see and be honest with what you see, regardless of the opinion, is where the opportunity is for Black excellence. And I'm kind of stuck because I heard you mention, say, we don't have a flag, we don't have an identity.
Like a nationality, right? A
Well,
nation.
yeah, and a nation, and that's part of what the identity is. Even as I've discovered just within myself, is I have to rely on what I know. I know, and what I believe, right? Like the idea is that we are from Africa. I'm not saying that's wrong or right. I'm also saying I don't know anything about that. I know I was born, according to documents, I was born in America. I'm an
Yeah.
American.
Right.
My flag is your flag. Um, my identity is how not just I identify, it's how I identify and how others even identify me. The idea of believing a lie is where you get to comparing. Anytime you compare something, you're gonna miss the opportunity to see and recognize the value. So if I'm comparing my excellence to what white success is, it's only going to be valued to the level of which I have the opinion of that white success, or anyone else's success. So even as we talk about the color of black and white, but also the race standpoint of black and white, is that it's contrasting. So if we can see the difference, we can also see the opportunity. And the idea is that we can identify what either of those are and move closer to what is in alignment with us, our beliefs, and our desires. And so doing that, I also say your Black excellence can never be white success. And for the love of God, please saying that a new bill is a reason to say that you're blessed. Like a new bill means that you're working for something and you're paying for it. Do you deserve this or not? Like who cares? You made a decision to buy something. If
Right.
your value is only placed in what you buy, you have a misplaced idea of what value is, because it's as simple as black and white. That's the white success, or the idea of anything outside of you, is where you deny your blackness. And if you're going to deny your blackness, you can't accept anything that comes from you, for you, or that's going to benefit you.
Wow. Anything outside of you is when you deny your Blackness. Woo-hoo! I mean, this is just so amazing. Genius. I feel so privileged to be in this room with you. One of the things in Brown Bag I heard was love. Like, what do you think love is?
Love is the consideration of and the consideration for. It's a verb. It's a decision. It's how can I be considerate of you? How can I be considerate? How can you be considerate of me, of us? How can we be considered of we? And that consideration is where the love is, and the opportunity for extending that love. It goes from a standpoint of servitude to sharing. If I share from my abundance, I have a consideration for you. I have a thought of you in mind, where I am saying, you know what, I've got an hour. I've got some time. I love to share that time and be considerate to share that time with Vic and Ashley, because not just because they're giving something back, but because I want to share that. And so the idea of sharing and love is of the overflow. I can't give you something. It would be insane for me to give you something that I need. That goes into martyrdom. That's not even about you. That's it's really all about you at that point because you're wanting to sacrifice yourself, or there's a belief that you have to sacrifice yourself for someone else to be improved. No, we have to be in a standpoint where we have a filled cup and we can align our cups to overflow into other people.
Wow. I love that. I love that. And then I also, this is the last point. What do you say about women that only see men as a bag? Because it sounded like, if I'm not mistaken, you know, you had a woman talking about, you know, Balenciaga, and she want to go on a date and stuff like that. Like, I see why you put that in there to really like shed the light. But for everyone else's sake, like, what do you say about women that only see men for their money?
To see men for only their money is a short vision of how they can provide provision. The idea of the brown bag is multi-layered. One, the brown bag historically has been used as a measurement of who is black or not, or your level of blackness, right? The brown paper bag, but also the brown bag is the money bag.
Right.
So, you know, America's been more divided. The brown bag has divided America more than the Mississippi ever did, right? So one, Mississippi is known for historically the brown bag and even who got to go to college and who got to be elected president or who got a chance to do something was based on how brown you were. But also that brown bag determines and dictates a lot. Where it was race and is race has evolved into class and money and finance and economics. So just understanding how that connects means that there might be a short view of a person if you're looking at them from comparison to a brown bag. The comedic kind of humorous part of the contrasting voice of Jade and what she did, it made it a little light because this is such a heavy piece. I also know that humor and light and comedy and funny kind of help make it a little bit more simple to swallow. So I took the quintessential characterization of, I want my money, my bag, but I'm saying that's love. But I guess then it gets to the point is I guess Red Lobster's still open. We can go there, right? And of all the things that she mentioned was Balenciaga and luxury this, Red Lobster was still right. Red Lobster was still just enough.
Yeah.
So at some point, more is not better and enough is adequate.
Wow. Oh. Okay. All right. That was good. We can go to the next one.
All right, let's get it.
I like this
one. And they say, rhymers, rappers, poets, singers, rappers, poets, singers, rhymers, poets, singers, rhymers, rappers, singers, rhymers, rappers, poets. At some point or another, they wanted to teach us or show us something by way of cadence, like a rhythm nation. It's a full moon, kind of like that B7. Everybody's who's listening, well, that's the congregation. Rhymers, rappers, poets, singers, rappers, poets, singers, rhymers, poets, singers, rhymers, rappers, singers, rhymers, rappers, poets. It's the voice, the vocal. It's the round sound of your vowel. The expressed words, the emotive tones fall like melanin on my skin. Wait. Even that's got a tone, so let me get this straight. The hues of my complexion, wait, it's not that simple. See, these melanated souls of my folks was discarded, not because of the color of their skin, but what's in it. Rhymers, rappers, poets, singers, rappers, poets, singers, rhymers, poets, singers, rhymers, rappers, singers, rhymers, rappers, poets. You see, with tone comes frequency. So yes, you're a freak with me. Don't forget for one moment I'm talking frequency. And if I see you hating and talking down on anyone who looks like me or you, with the same color on me as you, with the melanated tones and frequently, well, if they got a problem with doing that, I just might have to kick them frequently. You're a freak with me. Rhymers, rappers, poets, singers, rappers, poets, singers, rhymers, poets, singers, rappers, singers, rappers, poets. Love of my life. Love of my life. Love of my life.
Very nostalgic. Very
Yeah,
nostalgic.
man.
Wow. Okay, so my question is, because it says, because I wrote here, you said with tone comes frequency. I'm like, yo, that's insane, because a lot of us think communication is just the words that we speak, but we don't really have in mind the tone, the body language, like the way. I remember growing up, and a lot of the time people would tell me, you say the right things, Ashley, but you don't, it's how you say it. You don't say it right in the how. So do you think that tone is undervalued when communicating? Like, do you think people look over the tone and go straight to just the words?
It's a, I don't want to say it's a mix. What I do understand is that all components of tone communicate in all ways. So that's non-verbally, that's verbally, that's with visually, that's the tone of a scent. Like tone impacts all aspects of our senses. Also, when I mention tone, is that in the tone of our skin, like skin tone, right? So someone of a certain skin tone, when we say certain things, it reverberates in a certain particular way because of the frequency. So the idea of even like rappers, rhymers, poets, singers, they're the same. It's just the same message can exist. It's just a different tone, a tonality, or a different frequency. Because I can do that song with a jazz beat, rhymers, rappers, poets, singers. I've done that before, right? So the context of what we experience is based on the tone of all of our senses, which goes back to our ability to be literate in understanding those tones, right? There's an idea of, that's one of the reasons on my first album I didn't I put letters and shapes and words only, because people will look at me and assign a tone or a sound tonally to me based on what they see. The other part is that this is absolutely without a doubt a spoken word, and as you just heard, I'm rapping and singing and rhyming and doing all these things in one space. We're calling it spoken word, and based on the tone of what or the frequency and the tone of what you connect with or reverberate with, it should hit a tone, strike a note with you.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's undervalued. I think when even the word undervalued, it also makes me think of it's misinterpreted.
Yeah. Yeah. And you know what? I will say, somebody told me one time the reason why we have a whole bunch of skin tones and, different colors is because of the different vibrations that we are. So when you said tone is a frequency and then you connected tone to skin tone, that automatically connected in my mind that we are different colors because we're different frequencies. I mean, just wow, like that just brought it back for me. Thank you.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, and even the tone of music, like music has a tone, and if it's out of tune, it's going to be dissonance. And you know what changes dissonance?
What?
Adding a note or taking one away.
What changes dissonance? And dissonance means like resistance or like disconnect. Is that
Yeah, so dissonance is normally related to a tone that feels I don't want to say low, not necessarily low, but it's a tone that feels like wrong or off or like not like just off, but there's something that's dissonant about it. There's a disconnect and some dissonance that exists.
Right.
Which one is not a bad thing depending on what's before it and what's after it. So even the unliked aspects, or even let's talk about tone. There's a conversation often about low vibes, low vibe, no low vibration, low vibration. Imagine hearing music with no lows in it. It would suck. Because if it's only highs, it's only going to be a certain frequency, but you got to have the lows to be able to counter that. The same as with color. It's got to be a hue of the complexion, and a hue of the complexion, not just in the visual complexion, but in the auditorial complexion, in the visual complexion, and just a sense of understanding, the complexity and the spectrum of understanding as it relates to hues, tones, frequencies.
Wow.
And at the end, I throw in that, you're a freak with me. Frequency is what I'm talking about.
Oh my God. I'm just so like, because even thinking about like, we really do, I think just even in my Black family, like, white people are the devil, or just white people are inferior and stuff. Well, you wouldn't, it's like you have to have something to compare yourself to. So thank that quote unquote low frequency or low tone or whatever, because then it allows for, like, it gives you space to appreciate who you are, where you are, and I love that. Just contrast, dissonance, all that. So valid, so valid. Thank you so much. That was good. Oh snap! My earring came up. All right, go ahead, Coach.
Well done. Hey, this is a good review.
So it's sides to this. This right here is for the poet who never wrote. It's for the poet who never spoke. It's even for the ones who can but don't. It's for the kids who knew themselves better than their parents did but never had the confidence to tell them. For that husband or wife who makes sure the ones they love are well taken care of. It's for the cheerleader who is looking for someone to cheer with her. That nephew who really has a clue, not lost like you, but respectfully biding his time for him to do everything inside of his wonderful mind. It's for all the ones who finally committed to something. It wasn't ideal for everyone else because the final choice made was always theirs. I know, listen, this might be odd, but the power, the strength, the might to reach above themselves and make the choice to turn off that light. No more suffering. No more living hungry. No more feeling lonely. Now, for those who are still here and feeling alone, who reached for that switch and could not fully commit, I love you. Because the truth is, you could never forget. The fact is, it's always an option that lives. And till this day, well, you've chosen what's best for another moment and the desire for what's next. Listen, I know life be lifing and people be peopling, but just to know you are here under the sound of my voice, from me to you, I'm glad you made the best choice, because either way, whichever side you choose, you've got to live with it.
Woo!
Andrea got some crazy range too.
I know.
Oh yeah, she's an opera singer.
Yeah.
She's an opera singer. Like, she is so dope.
You got a question from the chat.
Got a question. What's going on? What's the chat? What's the
From the
question?
chat. Who is your beat producer?
So, so
And-
what? It's
And what was your inspiration for the album?
yeah. So the we'll say music producer because it's one, yes, it's beats and it's music, and so everything I executive produce and work with a production partner, and just setting the tone for what each one of these pieces are and how the collection of this exists is what went into this one. I've got the next album, the one that just came out this fall, was recognized by the Grammys again. It's got some of the same words and different music. So other producers on those albums include, I mean, just my friends, man. Like I don't even know how to explain it. One of the young men named is Tone he's out in Dallas right now. Troy James is another one. He plays with Wu Tang. Dynamic, just musician all the way around. Did a lot of work with him, and even the singers. Everybody just kind of came into it based on this idea of what the words were. And making this album, it started with the words, and then coming and said, okay, put a sound to this, and going through that process of kind of building. The other thing I did in the process of making this is I would go out and perform it. I would write these poems, then go out into public space and perform them. Because I needed to see and get that in-person experience. And kind of really, if I look at it like a business product, I had to test market. I had to go out and see how people responded to it, what the vibe was like, what the energy was like. I can't tell you the amount of live bands I produced and played with as it relates to this song at the Freeman, from all the different open mics from here to LA, all these different places, and doing that, which is also part of the inspiration for doing and creating this album and these records. It was me knowing and having a marketing agency and doing all the marketing things in business, and just having a come to me moment to say, I'm going to make a product that, and I'm going to do all of the things that I've coached and consulted and mentioned and recommended and strategized with everyone else. I'm going to do it myself with me. And so this was just the sum of me making decisions to do what I've always done, which is make something dope that people can appreciate. And even if it's an unexpected way, I think the way to a person's heart is an unexpected gift at an unexpected time. And my making this, for me, every time I listen to it, is a new gift. I hear something new, and to get a chance to kind of share and engage with someone else and impart that to them, and they share it with their children. I can't tell you how many times, like, people will see me walking around and like, I need a finger snap on the 2 and the 4, without realizing I'm teaching how to dexterity, because I can show my 4-year-old nephew how to snap. And he can also have rhythm and learn what a 2 and a 4 beat is, but also understand that a 2-1-4 is connected to history and Dallas and where he's from and all these things. What side am I on? Oh, I can't hear you, Ashley.
Ashley unmuted.
I'm over here talking to myself. No, basically, yeah. What side are you
on? It depends on how the wind is blowing. I mean, from as it relates to what? I mean, as it relates to that song.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest with you, I think a lot of people don't like picking sides nowadays. They feel it's safer to just stay in the middle and to be mixy, but they don't want to be right or left or anything like that. And so, like, in your own life, what side are you on in terms of things that are significant to you and things that are important to you? Do you feel like I guess you are somebody that stands strong in that and doesn't have any problem with standing strong on it? But have you ever been chosen a side where you regretted being on, and then you're like, damn, and then did that shift you from being on that side?
Yeah, I've chosen the side and realized that side didn't work for me, and I've been willing to choose again, which exists the other day. I mean, every day. At the least, I look at choosing a side as choosing to make a choice. Like, making a choice is choosing a side. So every choice that I make to be present, every choice that I make, if I'm honest, every choice that I accept to even be here, my being here is not the decision of me alone. there's something that created me, or there's an experience that existed where I came from a sleep state to an awake state. And in being awake, here are the opportunities. But also within being sleep, I know that there are some advantages and some opportunities with there. So I look at choosing the side as, the option that I can live with. If I can live with the choice I made, that's the side I'm gonna be willing to choose, even if it's a choice that doesn't feel comfortable for everyone else. The idea of this song is "so it sides." If you say it fast enough, is really saying suicide. So it sides, so it sides, so it sides. So phonetically, you're choosing life just in a different outcome. So even for someone who felt powerless, to know that they have the decision, or they ultimately made a decision to choose to, what some could describe as take their life, but they made a choice that works for them, that they're willing to live with. So there is no regret. There is no regret. There is no wonder if I could have. I mean, we can always say I could have done this, I could have done that, but some choices we can't make again.
Yeah.
And it's okay. I accept it. It can be overwhelming. It can be challenging, and I just make sure to choose a side that I'm okay with living with.
Got it. So I think a lot of us are choosing sides that are temporary gratifications and, you know, um, temporary fulfillment. And it's really good to just hear a man stand by his word and say, no, I'm going to choose the side that I can actually live with. That's really inspiring. I know that we have like questions and like we have other songs, but I have to get off here in a couple of minutes. The song I wanted to, if you don't mind, finish with is Legacy, because I have a particular question that I wanted to
Actually, we're having a muted issue. Oh, never mind. We're back. Okay, cool. Somebody said that we was muted. It came back. No big
Oh,
deal.
I
I
think
think it
maybe,
was a delay. Might
yeah.
have been. Yeah. So
Okay.
Legacy.
Yeah. Can we?
Let me pull that up. Let me.
And if you want to, because I know we got short on time, I know you had some more questions. We can play a clip of it and just kind of, if you want to play a short version. Oh, here we go.
Yeah, I got you. Hang on a second.
Okay,
Let's
let's do it.
pull it up on the screen so we can all see exactly what we got going on here. Boom.
Legacy can't only be money and material things. What information are you passing to your next of kin? What health habits do you recommend? What about the ways and methods of navigating the system that you don't trust, but were able to work through? You see, leaving assets with no guidance is irresponsible. Legacy should always leave clues. So listen, we don't expect you to have all the answers, but just know your insight might illuminate what's next best to choose. The provided vision, that's provision. That's what living ancestors do. Make a way from nothing so our children have something. To be honest, you leave a legacy whether you want to or not. Each one of your decisions today has an impact on your estate, particularly your state of mind. The way you choose to live today is the legacy you leave when you die, which is actually the legacy that will be alive. You see, we don't get to choose our family, someone chooses them for us. So, how do we get better tomorrow? It's merely about what you choose today. Some of our living ancestors are leaving a legacy of hurt, harm, and danger with no relationship to the person who made them. Some of us will inherit a legacy of selfishness, irresponsibility, and abuse. All right? Be careful of the other parent you choose. Make sure that your parenting extends beyond paying the bills as due, because money alone won't make enough change. So stop committing all of these hours, days, weeks, and months to make money, only to buy more stuff in the name of legacy.
Legacy. Oh.
Come on now. What's going on with this one? Got the full 9 seconds, of that
Yeah,
clip,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
So
Yeah.
that
Yeah, go ahead, Coach. Sorry.
yeah, like I pulled up on the screen, you know what I'm saying, while it was playing rule number 4 about legacy and equity. I talk about that all the time. And while I was writing Accountable Masculinity, Derrick was a close uh, person in my life that I was sharing my ideas with to see if it made sense to people that care about producing something of value and leaving something behind, and whether you got kids or not, you're still responsible for making an impact, and you are responsible for making a positive or negative impact, right? And you remember we talked about I don't know if you remember the actual conversation, but I thought about this when I was watching Avengers. Remember that scene where Thanos had got lured into that trap and all of the Avengers was about to off him, and basically Tony Stark, Iron Man, uh, put this great plan together to off Thanos, right? And then what was his name? Star Lord lost his composure when they had him dead to rights, and he lost it, and then he got free. Then Tony gets stabbed with his own armor, and Thanos looks at him and says, "I hope they remember your name, because otherwise you did all of this for nothing." You know what I'm saying? You had a great plan, and you worked hard, and I saw it, and you almost got me. But after I off you, nobody's going to remember you. So I hope they remember your name. I thought you had some witnesses. You know what I'm saying? So the work you put out in the world, you know what I'm saying, is there for other people to be witnessed. You know what I'm saying? Whether it was good or bad is up to you based on the choices. So like tying back into like so it sides. I always talk about being disciplined versus undisciplined. That's what this platform is about. Because if you're disciplined, you can hear the heart of other people. If you're undisciplined, you only care about your selfish gratification. So this is a piece of art in the world where if people want to really truly be inspired, you have to be inspirational also. So you don't know what type of work you're putting in the world until you start getting feedback and exposure and stuff like that. So you keep plugging away regardless of how people see it. This is your legacy. So hey, I appreciate you, you know what I'm saying, taking ownership of your brand and your art and putting it out in the world so other people can be inspired. That's what this album intends. I definitely felt the same thing. I felt seen. You know what I'm saying? There's always some work out there that makes you feel seen, like, yo, I'm doing the right thing too. So, that you deserve that, man. You know what I'm saying? I wanted you to get your flowers the right way.
I love that.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
appreciate
man.
it.
So let's go back to Ashley's question while I'm hogging up the space. I just had to say
No,
that.
I love that. Because I wanted to end with this because like legacy is why we're all doing this. We want to pass down the inspiration. We want to pass down versions of ourselves so that other people can be empowered by, wherever they are in their own lives. And you said something about leaving assets with no guidance is irresponsible. What does that look like, leaving assets with no guidance?
It is to live a life with people and give them something that doesn't guide them to the next version of what is possible. Um, in a less poetic way, is do something and give insight to why. Like all of my poems, it's legacy. It is Guidance is assets with no. So if I give you all the benefits and the assets of what exists, and I'm not able to guide you through it, it's fruitless. If I give you life, right, from a parenting standpoint, if I give you life, but you're not willing to guide those you've given life to and shared life with, some methods and ways of navigating the system that you don't trust, but you're able to work through. And working through means that you made it another day. You're here. You have another moment to make a choice. If you're not in a space where you're leaving legacy or leaving assets with guidance, you're actually causing more harm. And to live a life without the intention of even planting a tree that you may never experience the shade from is what's hurting us. It's living a life with no succession planning. It's living a life with no pathway to help guide beyond your being here. That's the reason why we have family. This was also for me. I know I don't necessarily have children birth of me, but what can I do and leave that leaves messaging or leaves a compass or directions to do something? If you hear every one of my poems, it has some insight and it has some instruction and has inspiration. My belief is that their words and art and presence and people have two things in your life. They either inspire you or they instruct you. When both of them happen at once, that's when God shows up. That's when imagination lives. That's when dreams can exist because you've got inspiration and you've got instruction. Even to pull away from motivation. If I have to wait on motivation to move me, then that's outside of me. That's not the same type of value as inspiration. Like even the word I in is internal. It's an internal thing. And so to be inspired before leaving earth is to identify some inspiration, but also leave some instruction. As I mentioned, church, there's a lot of inspiration that happens, and there's a lot of assets and love and positivity and flow. But where are the instructions? We see the outcomes of what the assets are. We see the sum of what has been, but where are the instructions? Because if you tell me go get it, if I got a flat tire and you say just need to change the tire, okay, cool, great, I know that. How do I do it? Right? What tools do I have? What methods? How should I do this? One option could be call AAA. Another option could be do something else, but give me some guidance along with these assets and things and stuff and materials that you're leaving for me.
I love that. And what comes to me sometimes, though, see, I'm going to ask you a question in a second about this, about something, but sometimes I feel like my father loved me through not giving me instruction. So instruction sometimes is somebody giving it to you and not giving it to you, because then that also is giving me an instruction. It's giving me, okay, well then I got to go and figure that out. Even if he's not the person, or the person in my life in other ways, my friends, whatever, isn't giving me necessarily instruction, or a pastor, or, somebody I look up to. The instruction, by the lack thereof of that, it's also giving me instruction as well. But see, I'm a little bit wired differently. I'm going to take that as an opportunity. There are more, I feel like there are more people that actually need, like, hey, do this, do that, do this, do that. And I don't know. What do you think about that?
Well, you're not wrong about what you're saying, and it's very accurate. What is required to go with that non-instruction is the guidance. That's the part that's missing. It's the guidance and the presence of that being to say, to be present. Sometimes being the idea of being present is the guidance. It's the guiding light to the instructions so that you can figure it out. Imagine living a life where you have to figure out everything that someone else has already done. You spend more time trying to figure out something than you do actually progressing. So if we work together, that's where the guidance comes in. We have an opportunity to not have to learn from a mistake, but be guided by wisdom.
Yeah.
See, wisdom is not making the mistake and then learning from it. That's not wisdom. That's learning. Wisdom is the ability to make the sound and reasonable decision before the incident happens, as a means of being guided and inspired and instructed to do what's needed. Now we're talking about what's in order. There is an order. So even when something happens outside of order, to be able to say, hey, this has happened outside of order. This was not my intent. And here's the opportunity that I see with you to make something happen for the legacy.
Got it. And I love that because, to be honest with you, I was out here for 28 years by myself. Yeah, and I was reading books, and I was a Christian for 3 years, trying to find guidance there. I tried to find guidance through men, through sex, through so many things. But I actually just needed a human being like Coach, like Victor, to guide me for real. To be honest with you, because again, he has the wisdom. I'm still trying to learn. You know what I mean? So I wasn't able to progress really in the way that I desired. I want to ask you this. You talked about stop working hours, months, and days. I said day on there. Listen, yeah. But do you feel like you were partly talking to your father in that?
The short answer is yes. And I was talking to everyone who does that. I've done it. I've worked. I've committed myself. Even just the idea of men is what you do is be of servitude to the world. You work for the world, and that doesn't work. Those are leaving assets. You work to gain assets
Mm,
with no guidance. It's the same principle. So I mean, was I talking to my father? Yeah. And I'm also talking with every person who
yeah,
feels that they want to give their person or give someone something that they didn't have. That's
yeah.
still a lack. That's still a deficient mindset. Differently than recognizing what they need and what can be a benefit to them and what can guide them through life. Because if I only give you what I was missing, do you really need that?
Mm,
Right? Because you're not being aware, you're not being honest, you're not being conscious, you're actually being selfish. I want to give my kids what I didn't have. How selfish is that? To be so inconsiderate of them, to neglect their needs and their wants and their desires and their cravings and imagination, to just merely give them what you didn't have. You're leading with a lack mindset. So lack and legacy cannot live.
wow, that is insane. Oh my God, I'm kind of speechless.
It's kind of narcissistic when you think of it like that, because you didn't get a chance in your life, you're trying to give it to them in their life, so they don't have anything to compare it to. It really is selfish when you think about it that way.
Yeah, because when you're even thinking about I'm going to give what I didn't have, it's still an I in there, right? It's
It's not
not
about the other
always
person.
what you need, what you want, what's good for you. Wow. And a lot of Black people say that. So to have this platform and to just rearrange and reframe a lot of our thought processes and to do this so wonderfully, geniusly, and beautifully through your art, I'm honored to be here today. Thank you so much.
It
I
was
appreciate you.
it was a great show, and I want to capture, because your work is legacy, and I live by these rules right here that I'm giving to people.
Yes.
Number one, let me go down the list real quick. Um Men focus on men, meaning focus on yourself as a man. Personal accountability standards amongst reasonable men without degrading women to improve our society. Your whole project was about what I took from it and what I benefited from fit right in line with this thought right here,
Mm-hmm.
And we don't argue with women, and not because it's just unproductive, and we need better tools to understand ourselves, which keeps coming back to this, that helps us avoid this. So then we get down to rule number 3. That's not the one. Well, down at the bottom
Yeah,
anyway.
down at the bottom.
Yeah. We must avoid misrepresenting fellow men. Although we are not perfect, we must have redeeming efforts. So this is about decentralized leadership, knowing when to lead, when to follow, being capable of being a student, and having the credentials and having the ability to inspire others, what I'm saying, as a mentor, because that's what mentors do. They're supposed to spark inspiration. So this is an album that's in your legacy that is designed to mentor people as well, all the way down from the youth to the adults that may not have had healthy adults to raise them, that may not have been able to tap into the subjective side of their inspirations for whatever reasons. Legacy, whole thing, man. You had a song called Legacy. It was like I told you when he and I were talking, he was already pretty much done with this album, and I was telling him about what I was writing.
Yeah.
And it was like right in line. So this is why I wanted to do this, you know. And we captured all over the place. You know, live a life of service towards your community and others. You must be credible and capable of both mentoring and being mentored. You must be receptive and coachable. So if you can't listen to somebody, you can't help anybody. You know, that's it. And men must exercise sexual discipline, be seen as credible leaders and maximize their opportunities, which goes back to how to engage with women the right way, not in a competitive mindset, but from a responsible, disciplined mindset that inspires safety, protection, and it separates the women that are allies from those that are individualistically based. And everybody gets a chance to live individualistically until they meet a crossroad where they desire to have a better life and a better outcome. They have to make certain choices. And so you have to be a representative of that being a safe decision. And that's kind of what Ashley was talking about before. So this work is really a work of art. You know what I'm saying? It's not just some cool and just snappy, but it's inspirational in a way where you're getting taught something about yourself from start to end if you give
Yeah.
it if you give it a chance to be absorbed. So man, excellent display of accountable masculinity, man. I'm glad that you can come to this platform and dedicate some time to explain this. And you know, and to the people that's watching that may not necessarily get exactly what's happening when you come in, but go back to the beginning, you know, and watch this and you know be inspired before leaving Earth.
Woo! Thank you, Coach.
It's been great. You know, I know you got some other projects coming up. So in the next, give me what you got going on in the next minute or so, and then we can wrap up.
Yeah, I just to the next minute just saying thank y'all. IamDWalk.com. IamDWalk on all platforms. I've got another show coming up in Dallas. I'll be in LA next month in December. I've got another album, a double disc album coming out, which is a great concept. And it'll be for sale for download directly from my website. I've got books. And just looking to lecture and speak as frequently as often as possible. So if there's an opportunity you want to share with me, you want me to share something with you, let me know. I'm down with it. You know, holler at Vic, holler at Ashley. We can make it happen.
Man, great way to wrap up, man. I appreciate this. To the audience, thank you for tuning in and following the platform. Go follow Ashley Marie on Facebook and Accountable Femininity, and follow Accountable Masculinity on all platforms. And I am D Walk also. So see you guys next time.
All right.
Peace.